Hello, and welcome to the second in our series of 2 podcast interviews with the BIU's 2 new athlete ambassadors. Slovenia's Lovro Planko spoke to us about why he wanted to become a BIU athlete ambassador, about how he avoids forgetting to register his whereabouts, and, as the BIU launches its Summer of Respect campaign, about what respect in biathlon means to him. Okay, thanks very much for agreeing to this interview, Lovro, and good to see you. Can I just start by asking, why did you want to become an athlete ambassador for the BIU?
Yeah, I think the BIU and the IBU, they do great stuff for us athletes. So I decided to do that to give something back. Also, there's no Slovenians doing any ambassador work, so I thought that it would be great that one of us steps up and does the job. And also, I have the same beliefs, the same priorities that BIU has. So yeah, I thought it's a great way to give something back. And I think I know some stuff that people don't know, and I wanted to represent the stuff to them and to connect the spectators to the sport and the young athletes to the sport and to the anti-doping rules and stuff like that.
And when you say you know some stuff, do you mean things that you can perhaps teach younger athletes coming up, like the sort of anti-doping process, that sort of thing?
Yeah, in the past 2 years, I got some experience about the whole testing process and the app process, like the whereabouts. And yeah, I think it's interesting things that people don't really see. It's like a bit behind the scenes. So I wanted to bring that closer to the people.
But what do you think is the greatest threat to the integrity of biathlon?
In my opinion, definitely the breaking of the anti-doping rules. I think doping is a great threat to the integrity of the sport, because it's not fair if one is using the substances. But not only that, it's also bad for your health, and I think that is maybe even worse than not playing fair. I want everyone to be healthy. Professional sport, in my opinion, isn't like the healthiest thing to do, but if you are using the stuff that is on the anti-doping list, then on the prohibited list, then it can be even worse.
So what do you think athlete ambassadors can do to help to ensure the integrity of biathlon?
I think we are here to connect the athletes and the Biathlon Integrity Union. We are a sort of a link from athletes and from spectators, from people that can't really get to BIU or don't have the courage to step up and say something. Maybe they can speak to us. Also, we have the social media now, so we can communicate this in a really great way. So yeah, I think this is the most important part, to be sort of a link from the people to the BIU.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting that you could operate as a kind of link with the athletes. And do you think that some athletes are perhaps nervous about speaking out about the wrongdoing that they see in the sport?
Yeah, maybe nervous, or maybe they don't know how to. Like sometimes you can have the courage, but if you don't have the platform or the way to speak to someone that can do something about it, it can be really hard. And if you don't know where to start, maybe seeing some post on Instagram or something can be the first step.
You mentioned whereabouts earlier. What system do you use to avoid forgetting to register your whereabouts? Because there have been cases where athletes have been sanctioned not because they were doping, but just because they forgot to register their whereabouts.
Yeah, it can be really difficult to remember sometimes. Usually my girlfriend reminds me if she's with me. If she's not, the system I use is I try to fill out the whereabouts as soon as I get somewhere and just fill them out for the whole stay. If I go somewhere for 1 week, I try to do it for the week ahead, and that worked pretty well for me. I didn't have any problems with the whereabouts feeling. So yeah, that's my. But I know people use the alarm clocks on their phones so they remember. But yeah, I do it like that. I do it in sort of big chunks, and that works for me.
Do you work with your coach both on remembering whereabouts, but also on keeping up to date with the list of banned substances?
On whereabouts, I work alone. It's only my job to do it. During the season, the coaches give whereabouts, but we also fill out the app details in the Athlete Central app. It's really useful. On the prohibited list, we mostly work with our physio. He knows all the things that are on the prohibited list, and also we talk about that. But sometimes it can get pretty hard because the medications in different countries are different. But if you put some work into it, you can be safe.
What advice would you give to young athletes that are being tested for the first time? Because I think it can be daunting. It can be a nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah, it can be pretty nerve-wracking. Yeah, like you said, definitely don't be nervous. Drink a lot of fluids. I mean, yeah, don't be nervous. That's I still have problems sometimes, but yeah, just know that it's no big deal if you are there for 2 hours, 3 hours. Everyone needs time, and if it's your first time, it's really not a problem. So just relax, try to think of something else, and yeah, just try to have fun, even though it's a bit of a not fun activity.
And last question, as I think you know, the BIU has just launched a campaign called Summer of Respect. And that's respect for the rules, for teammates and opponents, for coaches, for spectators, for officials, and perhaps most importantly, respect for themselves. What does respect in biathlon mean to you?
Yeah, I think respect is really high on the priority list for me. Because if we have the respect for one another, for the rules, for the coaches, for the referees, then a lot of things can go smoothly. It is a sport, and we all do it to be the best, but you need to respect the people you do it with first, and then you can race. So I think it's a pretty good thing that BIU started this Summer of Respect campaign. And yeah, I think we should all respect each other, the rules, and the sport.
Have you seen any good examples in your career as a biathlete of respect between athletes, or between an athlete and the spectator, or between an athlete and a coach?
Yeah, we had here in our team, we had a good example of that at the Olympic Games in China. Marte, like the Norwegian girl, she lost her diopter on the rifle, and our physio and one of the girls, they picked it up and brought it to her. So she won a medal. So I think that was a great show of respect, because they didn't need to do that, but at the end we are there to compete, to show who's the best, and if everyone is not able to show that, it's no fun. So yeah, I think we had a pretty good example of that in our team.
Great, fantastic example, Lovro. Thanks very much indeed. It was great to speak to you.
Thank you.